Now that's what I call action. That clip there was me transcending my everyday life experience from being a normal person into being a Spec Ops killer in F.E.A.R, First Encounter Assault Recon. This game has action, horror, it has a story of tremendous voice acting that tenderizes and nibbles at your curiosity for hours. F.E.A.R was developed by Monolith Productions in 2005. It is the first game in a trilogy, along with 2 standalone expansion packs. From now on, when I say F.E.A.R, I will be referring to the game of this video, F.E.A.R First Encounter Assault Recon. You know what? Let's get started. This game is extremely gory and bloody, just a heads up. F.E.A.R was notoriously creepy, polished, and good looking when it came out. I remember my older brother picking up this game and showing it to me. We sat in his room and I felt chills coming down my spine whilst going through the first level. Then he decided to pull a classic older brother move. He left me with the controls and he left the room. I was petrified. My heart raced. I didn't move an inch in a game. I didn't move an inch in real life. Sadistic brothers. Let's cover the basics. In F.E.A.R, the player assumes the role of Point Man. You have no name and your identity is a mystery. Point Man will execute a dangerous mission as a F.E.A.R operative. F.E.A.R is an acronym which stands for First Encounter Assault Recon. The F.E.A.R task force was developed to deal with supernatural threats to national security. The mission you are about to enter involves equalizing a telepathic commander called F.E.A.R. Yeah, this nasty guy. He eats people. To combat threats of enemies controlled by the telepathic commander, the player has a variety of methods to choose from. We have weapons that... What's this frame rate drop all about? It turns out that F.E.A.R has no love lost for your Logitech devices. So I used this fix from Methanhydrat on PC Gaming Wiki for the lag. We have weapons that range from military-grade projectile weapons to high-tech laser armaments. My favorite weapon was the Penetrator. It became my favorite for its wall-hanging, ragdoll-activating properties. Grenades and mines are also handy. Further, players are equipped with a flashlight of limited battery capacity. This limited capacity allows for the player to get really scared in dark places when the power runs out. Players can also use the reflex ability, which slows down time. Using reflex is the ultimate ego trip. You're able to single-handedly kill off and headshot several professionally trained soldiers in no time. It makes you feel cool. Hell, I felt cool while doing this. Let's do a montage. F.E.A.R flows fluently between its 2 genres of first-person shooter and psychological horror. Seldom do we get action and horror at the same time. Certain sequences highlight action, other areas emphasizes horror, and we find ourselves in dark passages and places where paranoia prevails and visions emerges from dark corners of consciousness. It's in these dark places where the convoluted story begins to reveal itself. The alternation between high-octane shooter and psychological horror defines the F.E.A.R experience. It also defines the atmosphere. Throughout the game, we are haunted by a bleak, ghostly girl who reminds us that we are not completely safe, even if all enemies are dead. Her appearance is coupled with well-timed sound effects. Other paranormal events are to be expected too as Point Man. Later, it becomes increasingly apparent that balancing psychological horror and shooter does come at a price. It's a tricky combination to pull off, and after several hours of playing through seances that uses similar methods to frighten the player, the scariness almost wore off. I'm no expert, but I assume that predictability is a bad thing in horror. A few hours in, I almost learned to predict where the jump scares would pop up, and I certainly learned that they never cause any real damage to my character. The simplicity of the game is a breath of fresh air. For starters, there's no inventory menu and no map, no level up system and no character menu either. This is a bare bones action psychological horror experience, and it works. Don't you love it when players can feel mastery without the endless grinding? Combat is where F.E.A.R excels. Slow motion and polished gameplay brings opportunity for guns blazing without looking back. The sound of ammunition casings hitting the floor is the anthem while we separate the limbs of our enemies. We are awarded with great feedback when killing an enemy. The blood splatters and their ragdolls are activated. It feels great, and you'll know exactly when to move on to the next enemy. Hitboxes and collision are on point, so it plays modern. I never expected to be able to shoot through railings and stairs in a game from 2005, but here we are. Some other things felt less modern. Small quirks in the original control setups were clunky for my preferences, but changing it fixed things. Default control scheme concentrated much control activity down in the left corner. The AI of our enemies are smart. They will hit you and they will spot you easily, but their capabilities are not significantly beyond our own, and it feels fair. They react to sound and light, so keep that flashlight off if you're planning on an ambush. You'll hear them shouting, "Flashlight," and you know you're spotted. Sometimes the AI will even try to flank you and come in behind you. AIs seem to act different depending on the enemy. ATC security are reckless enemies. They try to run you down. ADC security are the security forces of technology conglomerate Armicam. I will open up about them later. Vettel's replicas, on the other hand, act stoic and all but forces the player to make the first reckless move in combat. Okay, so talking about AIs, it's time to play that video clip. The video clip of the day is called "The Dumbest Thing I Saw an AI Do in My Entire Playthrough." AIs are so stupid.
He's just standing there.
Leaving that desperate attempt at humor behind, the game is divided into intervals. Each interval has different objectives and goals. Catching F.E.A.R remains the primary objective for almost the entire game. All missions are part of something that feels like an extensive wild goose chase. We're always on the hunt for F.E.A.R, but he seems to get away. Consequences of chasing geese is that players may start to feel like they're not progressing. It's okay though. While on this wild goose chase, we are able to piece together a convoluted and completely disturbing story. We piece it together by listening to voicemails and by downloading highly confidential files from computers that have no passcodes. Each time we hear a voicemail or download a file, we get about one lousy sentence. I'm adamant that the team behind F.E.A.R could have created a richer world by adding more context than that every time. But on the other hand, the voice acting of each clip is simply terrific. It's one of the many aspects of F.E.A.R that keeps you immersed.
There's a reference to something called Icarus. It says here that it was a bioengineering program that started in 1973.
Devastating explosion in the harbor this evening may not have been an accident. We have learned that evidence of a fierce gun battle has been found by police investigators.
On the topic of voice acting, characters react to your actions when you're acting like a lousy and curious gamer. I felt like I had to stop dicking about and actually move on with things. Take this example when we are in an elevator with Alice and she wants me to stop jumping about outside of the elevator.
Come back! Where are you going now?
And of course, there are some amazing jokes here too.
This way.
It's good to see you in one piece.
You guys can make out later. Just get that bird in the air.
Thank you, Chief. Levels are played in a linear way, so it's never ambiguous where to go next. I was thankful for this because many areas look and feel identical. Also, there's no map to navigate with, so without linearity it would be impossible to progress in the game without getting severely lost. The playable areas are surprisingly mundane too. Offices and machine rooms, basements and backyards. How many office cubicles, hallways and machine rooms is it possible to cram into one game? Sometimes I thought about F.E.A.R as being an office simulator. Just imagine a world where offices are dark, scary, and with terribly violent and malicious co-workers. If you still think that sounds like your office, I suggest you change your place of work. Although the areas are fairly commonplace, there's a neat attention to detail. Look at the interactions with this projector, for instance. Or check out this office, littered with snacks, implying that some oaf used to work here before the chaos. Details such as these boost the authenticity of the place. The creepy music and dimmed lighting helps instill an atmosphere too that transcends the normal office and machine room experience. Other efforts are made to immerse the player in this dystopian future. Here's the sad tale of Chet from accounting, who is worried about loud noises.
Yeah, this is Chet in accounting. Nobody seems to know what's going on, but we've been hearing a lot of loud noises. Have you guys heard anything over there?
End of messages.
No noises, Chet. We okay.
See you later, Chet. Maybe we can meet for a beer at happy hour this Tuesday.
Then there's the puzzles. Puzzles are trivial, and I dare say they underestimate the capabilities of players. Most popular puzzles are find the button and press it, or find the wheel and turn it. Perhaps these are not really puzzles, but regardless of naming convention, I question their right to exist. Let's dig into the story. This part contains all the spoilers. There's shady business going on in this game, that's for sure. Remember we talked about F.E.A.R. He's on a rampage. He was central to a sketchy research project undertaken by Armacam Technology Corporation. The goal of this project was to train psychic commanders for the US military. To put it simply, F.E.A.R immobilizes highly trained clone troops that he can control using telepathic abilities. Where I heard of clone troops before? Sounds eerily familiar. I'm not sure. The clones, also called replica soldiers, are reliant on F.E.A.R's command for survival. Therefore, if he's apprehended, the replica soldiers will stop doing nasty things. One more thing, F.E.A.R has a locator chip in his head, so this should be easy enough. There are other forces at play too. A ghostly visage of a young girl keeps haunting us. It's almost as if she is speaking directly to us, just as F.E.A.R is speaking directly to us. F.E.A.R is having difficulty separating his own memories from hers. Are they connected somehow? After a fatal encounter with replica soldiers and intangible yet highly dangerous paranormal events at a water treatment plant, our point man is the only survivor of the F.E.A.R team. There's no doubt that we have an unprecedented connection with the paranormal. The point man's survival is a mystery to everyone. Our boss nevertheless throws us back into the pit, alone. Evidently, a research project called Origin was the origin of the dire situation at the water treatment plant where our F.E.A.R friends lost their lives. The Origin project was surely connected to F.E.A.R and was executed by Armacam Technologies. From here on, F.E.A.R continues his flight over to Armacam headquarters. We follow suit. Remember, this game is about catching F.E.A.R most of the time. At the Armacam headquarters, we find incriminating evidence about their methods. F.E.A.R was central to a research project called Perseus. Through Perseus, F.E.A.R was experimented on from adolescence. He had thrown a dramatic fit at age 10, where he killed a few people. That did not stop Armacam. We also discovered that the girl from our visions exists. She's most likely Project Origin. She was also experimented on from a young age. She was believed to carry telepathic abilities. On top of all that madness, Armicam CEO reveals in a voice call that she is willing to send her own security forces on the problem. The F.E.A.R problem. Anything to cover up the research projects Origin and Perseus. Now there are several parties in the mix. ATC security, replica soldiers controlled by F.E.A.R, and the supernatural. At Armicam HQ, we are relieved to find that there are a few good eggs among the bad. Chuck Habiger lobbied to suspend the Perseus project. You know, the project where Armicam trained F.E.A.R to become a telepathic commander. Habiger believed that the fit F.E.A.R had as a 10-year-old may be on its way to repeat itself at a much bigger scale now that he is an adult. This probably means that what we are experiencing now is F.E.A.R having another fit and essentially calling on all of his telepathically linked troops. But what are his ambitions? And what does he want? In this narrative, we meet other characters too. The most memorable is Norton Mapes, an unlikely character of quirky decree. He's slippery as an eel and self-serving. After helping out Norton, this is how he repays the point man.
Bye-bye now.
After searching every cubicle, printer room, and elevator shaft in Armicam building, Chief in Command is convinced that F.E.A.R's next move is either Harlan Wade or his daughter Alice. Harlan Wade was one of the chief scientists working on Origin. At this time, the point man digs up intel on the site of the experiments too. It seems like the experiments were executed in a vault somewhere. Genevieve, the CEO of Armicam, opened this vault recently with hopes of destroying it. Is that why F.E.A.R ordered his troops to go on a killing spree? There's something in the vault, perhaps. Meanwhile, there have been reports on the attacks on the Armicam HQ from news stations. These attacks are now public knowledge, so how on earth did government greenlight using only one operative in this dangerous mission? Certainly the authorities will want to send more forces on a situation where dozens of civilians are already harmed, gunfights occur in plain sight, and property is destroyed. Imagine the blow to reputation of local government if they let all trust in the hands of one person. Even if the mission succeeded, that reckless leadership must be scrutinized. Alice, the daughter of scientist Harlan Wade, is safe. Looks like there's a pretty relaxed dress code for scientists working in the field of weapon and satellite communication technology. Alice wants to go look for her father, Harlan Wade. She's concerned about his safety. She has coordinates for a classified facility, probably the vault that we've heard so much about before. Unfortunately, Alice runs away and is taken by locator chip in the head F.E.A.R. The chase continues. Inside the classified facility surrounding the vault, one of the first things we find out is that the telepathic girl named Alma grew up to be a woman inside the vault. Harlan Wade, made her carry genetically engineered babies. He also induced labor while she was in a coma. The girl from our visions gave birth to F.E.A.R and one other so-called prototype. That's why F.E.A.R's connected to her, and that's why he has telepathic abilities too. She's most likely still trapped in the vault, and that's what F.E.A.R's after. Of course, chip-eating, slime-ealing Armicam engineer Mapes is here. He and Harlan had a falling out at the bridge, and Harlan shoots him like it was nothing. Scientist Harlan Wade carries on into the vault for reasons unknown to us. What does he want in there? To destroy it? Armicam engineer Mapes is adamant that the only right thing to do is to destroy the entire vault, leading us to believe that Harlan has other plans. Finally, inside the vault, F.E.A.R talks to Point Man in a vivid vision.
You still don't know, do you? What you are. Why you're here. You and I were born from the same mother.
F.E.A.R and Point Man are siblings if F.E.A.R is truthful. When waking up from the vision, F.E.A.R is dead, Alice is dead. Did we kill Alice? Did we kill F.E.A.R? It's also blurry. All of this happened at a very casual location. It's one of the first events when the point man enters the vault. Just a corner. Vettel is dead without a doubt. His replica soldiers are there, but they're inanimate. Harlan releases the girl, Alma, from her long imprisonment in the vault. Doing so has gory consequences. But why did he do it? Well, the girl is Alma Wade, now a woman. But she appears as a woman and a girl. The last name Wade makes her the daughter of scientist Harlan Wade and the point man's mother. It's a grim, nasty family reunion down here now. After a gloomy meet with the family, we make it out alive with the facility destroyed. It's clear that Point Man's demons and this world's troubles are still alive and kicking.